Chris and Lynn had the kind of love story that movies were made of. High school sweethearts, inseparable from the moment they first locked eyes as teenagers. They grew up together, navigated the awkwardness of adolescence side by side, and when it came time to choose a college, there was no question they would go together. Their love deepened in those 4 years, surrounded by the same friends, attending the same social events, and dreaming of the life they would build together. And after graduating, they did just that. Chris proposed under the oak tree in the park where they had their first date, and Lynn, with tears of joy in her eyes, said yes without hesitation. Their marriage was simple yet full of joy. Chris worked as an engineer, and Lynn became a teacher. They spent their weekends exploring new coffee shops, going to church, and hosting game nights with their closest friends. People admired their love. It was obvious in the way they looked at each other, the way they laughed together, and how they never left a room without holding hands. Life was good. Then, everything changed in an instant. One evening, Chris was driving home from work when a drunk driver ran a red light and crashed into his car. The impact was devastating. When he woke up in the hospital, his world tilted on its axis. He was paralyzed from the waist down. The doctors told him he would never walk again. His dreams of playing basketball in the driveway with his future children, of hiking the trails he and Lynn loved, of dancing with her under the stars, all of it seemed to shatter at that moment. Lynn never left his side. She slept in the hospital chair for weeks, holding his hand and whispering prayers over him. But as Chris's body healed, his heart and mind darkened. Depression crept in like an uninvited guest, settling in his bones. He felt like a burden, like half the man he used to be. If you're enjoying this heartwarming story so far, we'd truly appreciate it if you could give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Subscribing not only shows your support, but also helps boost our visibility in the algorithm, making it easier for others to discover our videos. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll always be updated whenever we upload new content. At first, he tried to put on a brave face. He went through rehabilitation, learned to use a wheelchair, and even tried to joke about his situation. But inside, he was breaking. Nights became unbearable, his mind swirling with thoughts of what he had lost. He began drinking to quiet the voices and to numb the pain. At first, it was just a drink here and there. Then it became more, a bottle to drown out the sorrow. Lynn watched the man she loved disappear into darkness. She too was struggling. She mourned the life they had planned and the dreams they had yet to fulfill. She felt helpless, watching Chris slip further away. Their marriage, once so full of light, was now weighed down by unspoken pain. One night, Chris hit his lowest point. He sat alone in the darkness, an empty bottle beside him, staring at the pills in his hand. He wondered if Lynn would be better off without him. He wondered if this pain would ever end. But then, as if guided by divine intervention, his phone rang. It was Lynn. "I love you, Chris," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I don't care if you can't walk. I don't care if life is hard. I need you here. Please don't give up." Something shifted in Chris's heart at that moment. Maybe it was Lynn's unwavering love, or maybe it was the presence of something greater than himself. But he put the pills down and wept. The next morning, Lynn took him to church. They had always been believers, but this time, they weren't just attending, they were searching. They poured their hearts out to God, asking the questions they had been too afraid to voice. Why? Why did this happen? How do we move forward? Where do we find strength when we have none left? Through faith-based support groups, they met others who had walked through tragedy and found hope. They connected with counselors who helped Chris face his depression and addiction. The church community rallied around them, offering prayers and meals, and even modifying their home to make it more accessible for Chris. Little by little, the darkness lifted. Chris started physical therapy with renewed determination. He learned to see himself not as less, but as different. He found ways to do the things he loved, coaching a wheelchair basketball team, volunteering at the church, mentoring others struggling with disabilities. Lynn, too, found purpose in their shared journey. She spoke at women's groups about faith in difficult times, and together they became a beacon of hope for struggling couples. Their love, once tested in fire, emerged stronger. They learned to communicate in ways they never had before. They learned that love wasn't about perfection. It was about choosing each other every single day. Even in the mess, even in the pain. Years later, they sat on their porch, hand in hand, watching the sunset. They had faced tragedy, but they had also witnessed miracles. They had walked through the valley, but they had never walked alone. God had been with them every step of the way. Chris looked at Lynn and smiled. "I thought I lost everything that night," he said, "but I found something even greater." Lynn squeezed his hand. "And what's that?" "Faith and a love that never gives up." Their story, once marked by heartbreak, became one of redemption. And though life had not turned out the way they had planned, they knew one thing for certain: love, true love, endures all things. And with God, even the darkest nights give way to the brightest dawns. To those facing their own storms, life is unpredictable and trials will come, but you are not alone. Pain, grief, and despair may try to consume you, but there is hope. Lean on your faith, seek support, and never be afraid to ask for help. Love is not measured by perfection, but by the willingness to stand together through life's toughest moments. Hold on to each other and trust that even in the darkest valleys, God is walking with you. The storm will pass, and on the other side, you will find strength, renewed purpose, and a deeper love than you ever imagined. We genuinely want to thank you for taking the time to view Motivate My Marriage. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.